Hit record.
Hello, everyone, and thank you very much for tuning in to the first panel discussion of the Food and Beverage and Hospitality Support Forum. My name is Katrin, and I'm super excited to facilitate this talk with this amazing group of people and industry leaders here around us. Our topic today was chosen around the importance of human connection. We felt that in times such as these, of challenges, constraints, crises, it is important to be intentional in how we create connections to all the people that we interact with on a daily basis. And I know that many of the people here on this call have a lot of interesting insights and experiences to share on this topic. And I'm super excited to be able to speak with everyone here. So we just recently introduced everyone through the slides. So you've seen them all, but just to go around the virtual table. So we have Michael Butler here.
Hi, everybody. Hi.
We have Martin Jones.
Hi.
Dejan Popadic.
Hello.
Alison Stiles.
Hello.
Alex Melle.
Hi.
And Vassillière. My name is Katrin. I'm super happy to be here. So let's get started. What I'd like to start with, because we're a community here, and when we talk about community, it also has a lot to do with being together and having personal connections and building these connections. And I'd like to direct my first question to you, Michael, who's the initiator of this forum, of this great community. What was your background and the reason why you created it, and why is it so important to you?
Thanks, Katrin. The reason why I originally created the forum was an idea was because I felt that there was going to be a lot of uncertainty. People were losing their jobs, and we hadn't had a COVID-19 situation, and a lot of people were saying, let's wait and see. And I felt that if there was a community and a group of people working together, we would be able to help people, give ourselves a sense of value, because when you help people, it makes you feel good yourself. I thought it would also help us create a place where we could learn from each other and explore, because we could share experiences, and it would make, us all get through this situation in a much better way. And I also thought at the same time, perhaps it might, because people are talking and sharing and exploring, perhaps we might come up with some solutions that would help us all get out of this. And that was really where the sense of community came from. That was sort of what's behind it.
Thank you very much for sharing that. And how does it make you feel today, Michael? There's over 12,000 people in this forum.
Well, I have to say, it's not really about the numbers, but I feel really good that we have together created something now, because although I initially set out on my own, we are where we are because of all of us. And this is the good feeling that we're working together to create, opportunities for people to share and explore and go through together this COVID-19 situation. That in itself gives me less anxiety, makes me feel better, makes me feel positive. So I hope it's a win-win for everybody. So that's really how it is.
Yeah, I think it's a very good example of really intentionally creating a community. Thanks a lot for doing this, and we're all happy to be part of this community. Thank you very much. So this community has a diverse group of people, many hospitality industry specialists, but also suppliers, people who touch our industry. So, we have two people here on the call who actually have hotels as customers. So I would like to understand from them, what have they experienced in regards to how they changed the relationship? What kind of relationship do they have to their hotel clients, and what did they possibly change in the way they interact and deal with their customers, which are hotels? And I'd like to hear their views on their experience as well. So I'd like to address this question to you, Alex. Maybe you can share some of your experience in the last couple of months and the relationship you have with your clients.
Yeah, over the last years, we actually had always a very good and very close relationship with our customers. So we did a lot of talking there, and like personal relationships really built out of those business relationships. What happened in the past month, literally, we saw support cases dropping down because the hotels were literally closed. And it's just natural that there's no revenue coming on from the hotel. So openly they would come us and, you know, they would ask to waive charges and stuff like that. And it's having a personal talk to them, it is easy to explain and to see, you know, the situations on both sides, because if charges are not being paid, we are not going to be there at the end of the crisis. And if we insist on being paid, the hotel might not exist at the end of the crisis. So it has been quite an experience going back to our customers and asking actually them what they're willing to pay and what they actually can afford to use the solution, rather than just waiving charges or setting them or sending them out invoices. That was actually a very good experience. And from a lot of customers, we received better feedback and better revenue than we actually expected and what we would have proposed to them. So that was actually a very good thing. And that was based literally on the communication we had over the past years.
Thank you. René, what are your experiences on this?
Yeah, I can only agree. I think like long-term relationships, a lot of trust pays out in the end. The eye level with our customers is much more important now because we are going together through a crisis. We are both in that. We have to finally serve the end consumer to make revenue to look for both sides. I can only agree to what Alex said, that it's not about charging or now making more income, but it's like really finding together solutions. So it's more trustful relationships are more important now than ever before.
It's interesting that you both say trust. I think this is something that has really come to the forefront, how important this is, because what you have goes really beyond a pure business relationship. I mean, to get through a difficult situation, you can only do this together somehow. So yeah, thank you. Thank you very much for sharing this. So I'd like to ask anyone here in this group, have you recently connected to someone to assist you during this difficult situation?
I certainly have. I've been very lucky in the past of working for some great hotel companies. And through that time, I've met some amazing leaders, and that they have been always there for me. Although sometimes, you feel a little bit hesitant to reach out to something, but, it's been very unsure times. No one is exempt for it, really. And I've been able to reach out to people, not necessarily people who are older than me, but some of them are. There's not many that are older than me anyway, but some younger ones that I've looked up to and admired as well. And I've been able to do that just to ask advice and thoughts, and how are you reacting? And how do you think I should? And, nobody has a crystal ball. Nobody can predict anything, but I have reached out to people just for advice. And I think everybody should feel that they can do that. And I think that's an important part of the way that we communicate as a group as well.
Yeah. I think asking for advice is something so valuable. Sorry, Dejan, I believe you wanted to add to this?
Yeah, no, I think very similarly to Martin, this unprecedented times have brought out something in a lot of people, that there is just a natural seeking of talking to each other about various things. There are a lot of people who are very hurt, emotionally very hurt, because it is always difficult when somebody loses a job not to see this personal. And sometimes people just need something positive in their lives. And I can see it from myself, and similarly as Martin, it may not be necessarily that many people have reached out to me, but vice versa, I do reach out to people. And I think that, the lunch breaks that I usually kept for myself, because this is when I caught up with my private life. I like to now have discussions with other people, see how they are doing and checking in and whatever have you not. And I think this has become more and more relevant, despite the paradox that we are supposed to not be meeting people, but it is, at least in my world where I am, it is becoming an everyday affair, that people that have not spoken to each other for a long time are just reaching out to each other, literally just to touch base and to, get some positivity into their lives, right?
Yeah. Actually, I think that's been a positive outcome of this whole situation. It's enabled people to step back and realize that people are important. I think probably in all of my life, I've never had so many people who have sent a message, which is, just how are you? And, even myself, like you, Dejan, I find myself reaching out to people who ordinarily I'd have let weeks and months go by, but now, you just wonder how they are too. So I think also that's what it's, a real good outcome from this whole situation, is that I think we've realized relationships and people are very important.
So building on what you just mentioned about speaking to your teams, Alison, from your rich experience, what do you feel is important when it comes to leadership, especially in difficult times, and how you lead with, let's say, a more personal touch? Or what does that mean to you? What can you share on this?
I think even without uncertain times, from a leadership perspective, what I've always found is to be generous with your time to colleagues, and really to seek to understand what they're going through. And recently I spent some time learning to really consciously listen. We were always trained certainly in sales, to actively listen, and using body language to show that you are hearing what they're saying. But from a conscious hearing perspective, it's really taking time to honestly understand their perspectives and their perceptions. And it takes some learning to do, where you refrain from jumping into a conversation to either empathize with them or to acknowledge, but to really just listen intently and to allow them to further open up. And I have found that colleagues are actually quite often surprised at the amount of time that you dedicate to them. And when they feel that you are genuinely interested in their well-being, and you listen to them, that is a fantastic foundation to build that trust that we were talking about before. And also to allow your team to see you vulnerable, and to allow them to be comfortable with vulnerability, which of course is amplified today in this current situation.
I think that's
I think being human, we're all the same. We just have different jobs, and that's part of it. And I think if people feel that they have access and they can, and like Alison said, giving them time, or at least just being open, because everyone is in the same situation. And I think, the old-fashioned managing by fear and not being, you wouldn't dare talk to, many years ago, you wouldn't dare talk to somebody so much senior than you. I think showing people that we're all human and we're all real, it's an important factor as well.
There's a lot of scar tissue now, because this has been going on for, a year almost. And whether you maintain a role or you transition into reinventing yourself or an organization, there's scar tissue. And I think never before has there been a more important time to, obviously, policies and procedures are very important, but to really be people focused in terms of leadership, and have that more humane approach, because this scar tissue lasts a while.
I'd like to pick up on what you have been touching now, and that is to be more human. And I'd love to understand and hear your view on what that actually means to you. What does it mean, and how do you bring it to life? Anybody who wants to share their views on this?
I think being human is, as Alison mentioned already, which is showing your vulnerability, not necessarily, if you like, putting a facade on and giving a sense that everything's all right when really it's not. So I think showing a vulnerable side to you is, for me, the main part of that. But I also think, equaled with that, I think being empathetic with the person that you're working with or you're friends with, just putting yourself in their situation before, opening your mouth and saying something without really understanding what they're going through or how they feel. So I think for me, that's what the two things really, what I think is showing a human side, which is empathy and showing your own vulnerability is what I think it is.
And to Michael's point on that, there's a great poem called Please Hear What I Am Not Saying. And it's by Charles Finn. And it describes exactly how most people feel they need to put a mask on, but actually take the mask off, let people see who you are inside. And it's a great read.
And to put it,
the mask isn't in relation to today, right? It's a different type of mask, right? Honesty and sincerity are two just important things, because people know, right? I mean, you don't have to act brave. You've got to be honest, but still supportive, right? But honest and sincere in what you do.
Yeah. And listening to one another is quite key. And I think no matter what relationship we're talking about, whether it is your client, whether it is your colleague, it is first and foremost a human relationship. So really understanding where this person is at the moment will help, bring this relationship to where it needs to be for whatever circumstance it is. Another thing that I'd like to touch upon, because something you hear a lot nowadays, how important it is to network. I mean, we're being part of a community. This is already networking, but I'd like to hear your experiences on being intentional when really networking with others. And I could imagine that, especially in times like these, where many people are in a similar situation, this could be quite useful. So anyone who would like to share their experiences on being intentional in networking, and how do you actually do this?
So if you don't mind, I'll take this because for me, networking on the job has changed. There was a shift in the paradigm. Before, when business opportunities between suppliers and myself would arise, there would have always been an intentional telephone call where a transition would concur traditionally. And only recently, I was talking to somebody in our sales department, and you can visibly see the pain in the eyes of the salesperson, because that person is knocking on doors of companies trying to sell rooms, and everywhere is the same answer: nobody's traveling, nobody's doing. And it's a lot of negativity coming back, right? So you are reaching out and nothing's coming back. So I started intentionally listening to people who are calling me, seeking for business, may it be suppliers, vendors, whatever have you. Whereas traditionally the answer would be, look, there is nothing happening. There is just no opportunity for us to do any business together. But it makes their life tremendously difficult. And I think that this is going to solidify relationships in the future, because eventually business will pick up, hopefully. And I think that this networking relationship is going to foster better relationships in the future again. Just not clearly and point out blank saying to somebody, look, there's no business, kind of get lost. So I think that this is important, and it takes a lot out of you to do that, because days are limited, time is limited, but I think it's very important. So that's my view.
Interesting. I recently spoke to someone who said that she had to learn to network because due to the crisis, she was faced with things that she did not have sufficient expertise on. So she really tried to build up a network of people that she could learn from, that she could tap into their knowledge, because she just wasn't able, to get this experience beforehand, which I also found quite interesting.
Yeah, I think it's also important to do it consistently. I think over the years, I've been pretty good at that, and I've got quite an extensive network, and I just enjoy it. And I think one of the things is that I just send random hellos, whether it's an email or a WhatsApp or a call, and it really depends on that. Just, I think it's important because you want to keep people in mind, and you want to be in their mind, but it's the sort of thing that you've got to constantly do. And I think you have to be careful. Don't start and do it just because you need it now. I think it's something that that you should start with the intent to go on. And it is a very powerful thing. And I can tell you, in these last few months, so many people have contacted me because they know that I network. And obviously they have different motives for that, but I do think it's something that you shouldn't just do it sporadically, as in, I need to get in touch with people and I'll blast everybody now or whatever, and then forget about it. I think you have to have a conscious effort in how you do it and how often you do it and for how long.
and as Martin was saying, and to follow up, to continually follow up with that. And actually, it's a very good time to network now, because there is so much common understanding of this situation that, like I myself, I'm saying yes all the time. If I can help somebody answer a question, I want to do that because of this sense of collaboration now, out of respect and understanding what everyone's going through. And also, I always remember, networking, like weaving and serendipitous connections that often come back in your life, and there was always a reason why you kept in contact with that person. So it can serve you today, but also in the future, wherever your path takes you. So, and yeah, people want to help. They want to help now.
I mean, these are amazing insights, and we can probably go on for much longer on this talk. I'd love to hear even more of your experiences. But I think what I've definitely learned hearing all of you speak, you all shared how intentional you were in connecting to others. And I firmly believe that being intentional with something gives you back strength, because you're the one that controls this action. And I think in difficult times, when you have the feeling that you cannot control anything anymore yourself, this can be quite useful for your own sense of resilience and well-being in a way. I think what you've just shared, whether it is the way you network, the way you interact with your teams, or how you change the way you interact with your customers, you did this all very intentionally, and I think that can be quite useful. I'm afraid that our time is up. I'd love to spend more time with you. I hope maybe we can spend more time together. And I want to thank all the listeners of this panel discussion for staying tuned in. Do share with us what you felt about the topic, about what you heard, if you'd like to hear more. And in line with the topic of today, let's stay connected. Nothing is stronger than a big community. So thank you all for being here. Michael, thanks again for initiating the survey. And let's say until next time.
Yeah, great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.